everybody, I am here to review another book. So first things first, and I feel like I have to make this disclaimer. I don't know why, I don't know when I'm gonna get over this insecurity of mine, but I'm not a professional book reviewer. I'm not a literary minded person. I don't have any sort of advanced degree in the subject. If you're looking for someone that's going to give you a review that is going to be really professional and well thought out and using words that have more than 2 syllables in it, I'm probably not the reviewer for you. I am a simple, regular old person who likes to read, and so that's kind of how I'm going to talk to you about my reviews. I'm just going to talk to you like I'm talking to a friend, and I'm going to be a little disorganized and a little scatterbrained, but that's just how that's how I am in real life. Like, that's how I need to be on my channel because that's who I really am. So I'm gonna review a book for you that has stuck with me for a couple weeks and I just can't get it out of my head. And it's The Hours by Michael Cunningham. Now, as you can see, it was made into a film, as you can see by the film cover, which I don't really like this one. I found it at the Goodwill for $1, so I had to just snatch it up. Anyway, The Hours, as I mentioned, was made into a film with Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman, and Julianne Moore a little less than 10 years ago, and I did see it. I loved that movie, and I didn't know for a long time that it was based off of a book until probably a year or 2 ago. So I figured I love the movie, I'll probably like the book, and I was correct. So The Hours tells the story of 3 women who have all been separately affected by Mrs. Dalloway, which is a novel by Virginia Woolf. The chapters that are told by the perspective of Virginia Woolf, she's contemplating whether or not she's going to have Mrs. Dalloway, the character in her book, die or commit suicide at the end of the novel. And that theme of depression, death, suicide, grief, that follows all 3 women throughout all their different time frames, and that's what ties them all together, these similar themes, even though they're all from completely different eras. So, oh gosh, I'm gonna screw this up, hold on. Okay, I think that, okay, I know that this is not a spoiler, this is history. Virginia Woolf commits suicide in 1941, so I feel like this story takes place prior to that for the most part, so late 1800s, early 1900s, maybe. The middle character, Laura Brown, she lives in the 1950s, and this is Clarissa, and she lives in the 1990s. And so Virginia Woolf is writing Mrs. Dalloway, and both Laura and Clarissa are reading it in their own time frames, and are both separately affected by the themes in there. Now, I think that the language in this book is stunning. It's beautiful. I was reading passages with my jaw just open because Cunningham had this ability to just fully illustrate simple everyday scenes that we experience all the time, but just make them stand out as like a beautiful moment in your life. Something so simple. And I'm gonna read a passage, and I've mentioned this on my channel before. There's a passage in here that I think is just stunning, and it's the passage in which Laura is baking a cake with her son. So it's actually a couple pages. I'm just gonna sort of pick out some of the better moments and read them for you. Story time! She hands him a bright aluminum cup measure. It is the first time he's been entrusted with a job like this. Laura sets a second bowl empty on the floor for him. He holds the measuring cup in both hands. "Here goes," she says. Guiding Richie's hands with her own, she helps him dip the cup into the flour. The cup goes in easily, and through its thin wall he can feel the silkiness and slight grit of the sifted flour. A tiny cloud rises in the cup's wake. Mother and son bring it up again, heaped with flour. Flour cascades down the silver sides. Laura tells the boy to hold the cup steady, which he nervously manages to do, and with one quick gesture, she dismisses the grainy little heap on top and creates a flawless white surface exactly level with the lip of the cup. He continues holding the cup with both hands. "Good," she says. "Now, we can put it in the other bowl. Do you think you can do that by yourself?" "Yes," he says, though he is not at all certain. He believes this cup of flour to be singular and irreplaceable. It is one thing to be asked to carry a cabbage across the street, quite another to be asked to carry the recently unearthed head of Rilke's Apollo. He cautiously moves the cup to the other bowl and holds it there, paralyzed, over the bowl's gleaming white concavity. It is the next smaller in a series of nesting bowls, pale green with the same band of white leaves at its rim. He understands that he's expected to dump the flour into the bowl, but it seems possible that he's misunderstood the directions and will ruin everything. It seems possible that by spilling out the flour, he will cause some larger catastrophe, upset some precarious balance. He wants to look at his mother's face, but can't take his eyes off the cup. He turns it over in one hurried, frightened motion. The flour hesitates for a fraction of a second, then spills out. The flour falls solidly in a mound that loosely echoes the shape of the measuring cup. A bigger cloud rises, almost touches his face, then vanishes. He stares down at what he's made, a white hill, slightly granular, speckled with pinpoint shadows standing up from the glossy creamier white of the bowl's interior. Of the three women in this book, I feel like I most enjoyed the section of Laura Brown's storyline. She is a 1950s housewife who doesn't see herself in that role. I mean, as we all know, roles, gender roles, sex roles were so enforced back then. You know, women were expected to marry and have children and be housewives and be perfect in the home and cook dinner and have everything ready. And she is struggling with deep-seated depression and constantly questioning if she loves her children and loves her husband and if she could just run away and escape. And she's constantly battling between wanting to leave and, you know, just, you know, run out of the house while her son has a temper tantrum, and then balancing that with finding him in these pure moments and her heart overspilling with love for him and saying that she could never ever leave him. And I, as a mom, I really identify with that, not because I've ever had thoughts of wanting to pick up and leave or anything, or questioning if I love my kids or not, or I don't struggle with any sort of depression or anything like that, but just reading about this honest woman, this woman who is complex and she wants more in her life, and seeing her see her child through that lens, it's just so powerful. And my life is most similar to hers in a lot of ways, versus the other two characters. I can't help but just identify with things that she says or things that she thinks, and the passages that she sees these moments in her son where she just, like, her heart spills over in love for him. It's amazing. I'm gonna go on that one passage, and that it spills right over into something I just was mentioning, these passages of her seeing him in these moments and having this love for him. He nods with such guileless, unguarded enthusiasm that her throat constricts in a spasm of love. It seems suddenly easy to bake a cake, to raise a child. She loves her son purely as mothers do. She does not resent him, does not wish to leave. She loves her husband and is glad to be married. It seems possible that she's slipped across an invisible line, the line that has always separated her from what she would prefer to feel, who she would prefer to be. It does not seem impossible that she has undergone a subtle but profound transformation here in this kitchen, at this most ordinary of moments. She has caught up with herself. She has worked so long, so hard, in such good faith, and now she's gotten the knack of living happily as herself, the way a child learns at a particular moment to balance on top of a two-wheel bicycle. It seems she will be fine. She will not lose hope. She will not mourn her lost possibilities, her unexplored talents. What if she has no talents at all? She will remain devoted to her son, her husband, her home, her duties, all her gifts. She will want this second child. And that passage, I think, completely summarizes Laura Brown. She's telling herself that she's happy, and she's telling herself that she loves her child, and she's telling herself that she wants the second child that she's pregnant with. She's telling herself that this is what's perfect, that her life is perfect, and that she wants all this. But it's so clear that she's just telling herself this, and she's so uncertain and so fearful of her future. And this whole book is just full of moments like that. Now, as much as I love this book, I only gave it a 4.75 out of 5 on Goodreads. I struggled with that. I really wanted to give it a 5-star, but the only reason I couldn't give it the full 5 is because I didn't connect with the other two women in the story as much as I connected with Laura Brown's story. I would keep turning and turning and turning, you know, reading until I got to a passage of Laura's, and I would really kind of absorb it and slow down a little bit more because I really liked her story. Nothing against the sections with Virginia and Clarissa. They were totally fine. I just really loved Laura's section. So if they were all as as amazing and I connected as much with the other two as I did with her, this would have easily been a 5-star book. And the ending of the book even draws the three women even closer together. There's like a little reveal. It's nothing that's completely major. It's not a big deal if you kind of already know it going in. So these three women already have those themes connecting them and the novel Mrs. Dalloway. And the very end you kind of get something else, a little surprise that kind of knits them a little closer together. So it's a cool way to end the story. And I highly recommend this. It is literary fiction for sure. You don't have to have read Mrs. Dalloway to appreciate the book. I certainly didn't. I don't know if I would. I don't read a lot of literature from that era, so I don't know how I would connect with it, but I would certainly give it a try if I came across it. So forgive me for being a little long-winded and for reading all these passages to you. I just couldn't help myself. I think that the writing in here is beautiful, and it's very short. It's a very brief book, but it keeps you going. It's compelling. So thanks guys so much, and if you enjoy these sit down chatty reviews, give me a thumbs up and let me know if there's anything else that I've read in the past couple months that you'd like a review on, and then maybe I'll do that. All right, I'll see you guys later.